Hey, thanks for doing this again.
Yeah, you
Welcome.
got it.
I guess we're moving up in the world. We're having DaVinci come over and do this kind of stuff. This is really good. So, Ben, thank you for coming. We wanted to get your feedback on the DaVinci product, DaVinci Roofscapes, your experience. You've been in the roofing industry for a while, and you've sold multiple different products. DaVinci has had some changes. They have some new lines coming out, some new products, and basically just industry updates. We just wanted to get it straight from the horse's mouth.
Yeah.
So
I get it.
If you don't mind just doing a quick intro, just a brief introduction on your experience, where you come from, military background.
Sure. Yeah, as you know, you already know, name is Ben Reberg. I grew up in North Dakota. That's where I first enlisted into the Army National Guard, and I spent 20 years in. I spent from 1994 to 2014, a couple deployments, and the family is happy that I'm done. We'll just put it that way. But I learned a lot in that, and believe it or not, there's a lot of things that transition over into the sales role as well when you have military experience, whether that's paying attention to detail or just your surroundings and really
discipline, consistency.
Discipline, consistency, being structured. You know, this is a world, especially the manufacturer world and contractor world, that you do need that consistency. If we have the same approach every time, and goes down to building our products to selling them, it's just going to go a lot more smooth. Expectations will be a lot more clear. Finished result will be a lot more consistent. Both you and I will be happy because of that.
Absolutely.
You know, most of my career was really in food sales, and then I moved over to this industry back in 19, and got to do some in-home sales with contracting. I primarily sold at an IKO Dynasty and a stone-coated metal. And it was a great experience. I think one of the things I'm taking from that experience really is trying to help people learn how to sell something upscale that's going to last. But it was also a great experience for me to learn everything from, you know, an ice and water guard to underlayment to rake to you know, everything in an attic space.
Inspections. I remember you were bringing that up.
Every attic, man. I had to roll around in a couple of those bad ones.
Yeah, we were telling guys it's August, 90 degrees outside, and you're up in the attic. That's it's a sauna.
Yeah, I mean, we'd have a temp gun, right? We'd say, here's your temp gun. This is what we should be, you know, within 10, 15 minutes or 10, 15 degrees of outside temp, and you're 70 degrees hotter. We're losing somewhere, right? There's not either ventilation or something, but there are some keys to making a roof last. It's not just, you know, what you put up there. It's who's putting it on for you. Is that company stable? Has they been around, right?
That's so true.
So it's been fun. And then obviously I came over to DaVinci early last year, familiar with selling an upscale project. DaVinci, if you don't know, just a quick history with them is in 19, when I started in the industry, Westlake ended up coming over and purchasing us. So Westlake is a $19 billion global company, right? So we have the financial backing when we have projects and when we need to grow, whether that's add a line here or invest in equipment, which I think is incredibly important.
And if you want to give maybe a little bit of a background on Westlake, they do a lot of composites, they do a lot of PVC, synthetics.
They do some tiles, some clays, they do some siding.
So this opened up a lot of different lines for DaVinci.
A lot of different lines. Now, we focus primarily on DaVinci, and honestly, Artem, I love that piece of it, right? Because we have the support I can give is specific to DaVinci. So I can give you somebody else in trims and moldings and siding and those other types of materials for roofing. But at the end of the day, what I've seen consistent across Westlake products is they are a best-in-class process. They are a best-in-class product. And that's easy to stand behind. That's something that, you know, I want you guys to be prideful in, right? When you show up to the door, you can say, okay, it sounds like you want something maintenance-free. I got something a little bit more long-term I think you're really going to love. And that's a project that you can drive by in 20 years and go, I still love it.
It looks the same,
Instead of driving by in 10 or taking a different way to the church because you don't want to show your kids.
It's falling off, That one used to be there, but not anymore. Yeah, with usually with acquisitions or companies kind of buying out different companies, the concern is the quality going down. They want to boost the profits and so on. It could be publicly traded, could be private, but either way, they want to make profits. So with this acquisition, have you guys noticed any changes? Any kind of
Nothing yet. And I've been in industries that we've had that, whether that be food or exterior work, where we've made huge transitions. Nothing yet. We're treated kind of separately, where DaVinci is DaVinci, right?
Yeah.
And we just had a Westlake global meeting, sales meeting in December, and it's truly still that, you can tell. There comes goods and bads with things that happen
just
like that.
Yeah.
But the reality is we haven't seen any of that yet, and we're trying to figure out a way to collaborate better within Westlake to make it more efficient and make the communication easier for you guys and easier for the residents, commercial, residential home, whatever it is.
Yeah.
To make that a little bit more consistent and easy to follow. If I could come up to you and sell you a clay, a unified steel, and a composite, there'd be some value there, right?
Yeah.
But you also lose some of the technical expertise behind that if you're spread out too thin. So
The detailed approach, the product knowledge itself, because DaVinci now has more lines than they used to.
That's
It used
correct.
to be just a few, now it's getting into Inspire, and there's additional things that are coming out. So I wanted to ask you about that as well. But so far, out of the roofing industry, what do you enjoy the most about DaVinci?
it's always people.
Yeah.
It's always people. It starts obviously with your internal customers, as I call them. Your customer service rep. We've got our service team at DaVinci is unbeatable. I mean, I get response in no time. I see the whether it's distribution or contractors reach directly out to Julie, and her response time and the way she gets back, and she cares about what she does. She knows she's working for a company that stands behind what we do. And it shows. It shows in her work, and she's, which I love right now, willing to still go above and beyond, which not everybody's willing to do anymore. So
That's the scary part when you're dealing with upscale product, upscale clients that expect
they
excellence.
want quick.
They
right?
want fast. They want
fast,
quality.
and they want something that works.
And they don't want to hear about it anymore. Once it's done, they don't want to have to see you. If there's issues and things coming up. So with that kind of clientele, like communication. Ongoing communication with, let's say, a representative, somebody that we would be dealing with, like you, any issues that come up, like having that urgent response time and then just being prompt with communication, that's probably the biggest. And for us as contractors, sometimes we don't have the ability to solve the problem right on the spot. So we have to kind of rely on you guys, which is huge. So having that kind of responsiveness and then just more people getting involved and like unity in the team definitely helps a lot.
And I to add to that, Arnhem, I mean, I'm your local guy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've got reps all over the U.S. in areas that we need them, and I've over the last year and the people I've met, whether it's the reps, whether it's internal folks on the marketing side or production or R&D, we got some great people, and that is the start. You know that better than anybody.
You've been here just for our office training. I think you've done 2 seminars here for us in the office, and then on top of the supplier seminars and so on. And just doing this again, I don't think we've had that with other reps. There's a lot of hesitancy as far as having some content actually reported, educational. Exactly. You basically have to stand behind whatever you're talking about.
Sure.
So for us, that was one of the things. So with, there's a lot of industry changes, but overall, can you kind of dive into DaVinci as a roof system? What are your thoughts, like kind of different tier levels, and what makes it a good alternative for cedar shake replacements or just in general, like high-end homes?
DaVinci is I would say, differentiators is kind of the way I like to look at it, right? And how we differentiate or how we separate ourselves in the marketplace. We do not use recycled material to build our product, okay? DaVinci uses a mix of high density polyethylene, a mix of low density polyethylene. These are same ingredients that go in Kevlar, right? Mm-hmm. And for that reason, the integrity of the product, the longevity of the product, and the fact that it can take a steel ball dropping at 55 mile an hour that's 2 inches wide is assuring you that it doesn't matter what hail we get here in the upper Midwest, that's not going to be an issue, right? They use engineered polymer with virgin resins to build their product.
And this is across all lines, or just?
This is across all lines.
Okay.
Yep, and that includes Inspire, which is out of Metamora. About 85% of our products that you see at Slate and Shake side is going to be out of Lenexa, Kansas.
So it's all U.S. made.
It's all U.S. made.
Okay.
And then the Inspire profile is out of Metamora, Michigan. Again, all U.S. made. And that's all components of the product, which I love to say.
Yep.
But it is, Artem, it's a product that, we started researching and developing back in the early 90s.
So a lot of people have questions about the actual, like when the company started, because it's not as old as some of the other companies or products. So comparison comes when it's usually Cedar Shake or Slate or any kind of product like that.
And the real Cedar Shake and the real Slate. And there's no doubt that that type of product has been around longer. But those are also products that you really can't reformulate and make better, right? It's not, if you're not cleaning and treating Cedar Shake every 5 years, like I don't think anybody does, after 20 years, it absorbs water. Every attic I went into that had Cedar Shake on it, it had water coming in.
How many are ventilated properly? How many are installed with breather felt? How many are actually, installed correctly in the first place?
I mean, there's a lot of room for error there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you have split, you have curling, you have cracking, you have mold, mildew growth on them. If you've got mold on your house and it's green, what does that tell you, right?
Yeah.
There's water there, and it's rooting from either your inner lay of tar or felt paper or the wood itself.
It has to breathe. I mean, if it's installed right, which is tough to do, but if it's installed correctly, I mean, I've heard people say 100 years is not out of question.
Yeah.
But again, how often does that happen? And based on our experience personally, like we are on those roofs. We get calls about Cedar Shake repairs, replacements, and so on. When we do those inspections, I haven't seen one that's at that point in life. Slate, different story. Slate, you see historical houses built in the early 1900s, maybe late 1800s. Still looks great, maybe a couple tiles chipped, but overall, that's holding up. Cedar, not so much. So for us, even though some people have that preference, I love the way it looks. I love the way it smells when it's going up. It's just
I do love the cedar smell. That's for sure.
Yeah, I had a bundle of returns just left in the back of my truck, and I left it inside the cabin for like 2 weeks. I was driving around with it just for that smell. It smelled like a sauna. It was
I get that wholeheartedly.
And it looks like it's glowing when you first install it.
Yeah, it really does. If it didn't change color so quickly, I mean, it's crazy how quickly it turns, whether it's on your fence or up on your house, but it changes color. I think there is a select few out there, Artem, that do what they're supposed to, that clean and treat it every 5 years. But, I think a big part of finding the right solution for a homeowner is asking those questions and really listening, right? If you're looking long-term, let me explain what long-term Cedar Shake looks like. That means you are going to have to put money back into cleaning and treating it every 5 years. Is that part of your calculation when you're looking at purchasing this roof?
Yeah, it's not just the initial cost of the.
That's correct.
There's a lot of homeowners, they look at let's say like some bundles of shakes online or somewhere where they find it and they think that our pricing is going to be based off of that.
Yep.
There's just so much more that goes into it. And when you're looking at the supply, you're looking at the Cedar Shake Borough, how they categorize and just the certifications that the shakes have to go through as far as the quality. There's a lot of room for error with that.
Yeah, there is. And it's one of the reasons why I respect you guys and what you do is one thing I learned in my past experiences, especially after a big storm year like 2 or 3 years ago, you've got people coming out of the woodwork. I mean, you have there's a reason why 95% of contractors don't last 5 years. Right?
Yeah.
And that's the reason, right? It's shortcuts. You can't take shortcuts in the upper Midwest. You get exposed.
Yeah.
The freeze, the thaw, the ups, the downs. You don't get a break up here. This is arguably one of the hardest climates to really
test it out.
Right?
Yeah.
And so if you're taking a shortcut, I don't care where it is, a valley, a rake edge, the underlayment, you just wait. 7-10 years, you're going to go back to that original rep and go, you were right. I wish I would have went with that.
Yeah.
Because now we're already seeing discoloration. We're already seeing, whether the rocks are falling and we're not protected like we thought we were.
Yeah. I mean, that's one protection. That's another one. That's the insurance side of things.
Yeah.
getting the Cedar Shake roofs insured is becoming problematic for a lot of clients. That's what we hear. We're not insurance agents. We're not attorneys. We're not offering advice on policy
That's good.
changes.
I would be terrible at that.
Me too. Yeah, I'm glad I don't have to deal with policies. But overall, like that's becoming an exclusion, a common exclusion for Cedar Shake roofs, and that's, I mean, in part due to the fires. I mean, that's an ongoing thing. But then also the fact that it's so expensive and there's so many just moving pieces to it. You know.
I mean, it's kind of sad. It takes a wake up call like the Palisades or these wildfires or whatever storm comes through or hurricane hits, Northwest Florida, whatever it's sad that that's what it takes to force insurance to start thinking a little bit more long term, right?
Well, it's I guess it's kind of across the board, the contractors too, because a lot of them were,
that's
pushing
true.
towards a full replacement when repairs could have done just fine. And it's not just Cedar Shakes, it's asphalt too.
Yeah.
It becomes this non-sustainable cycle where it's, every few years you're replacing shingle roofs, asphalt roofs.
Yeah.
Where,
I mean, few years, Artem.
Yeah, the warranty is lifetime. And
you know what I mean? 30-year shingle, right?
Sometimes it's lifetime. What does lifetime mean?
Sometimes it's lifetime, right?
So lifetime is now what?
100%.
50 years?
Well, read the warranty.
Yes, exactly.
The manufacturer warranty on a lot of those products, they'll prorate out by year 7.
Mm-hmm.
What is that telling you? That's telling you that the lawyer thinks it's going to last 7 years, right?
There's a fine print. It's so hard to. I mean, we're trying to be kind of on the neutral ground here, and we're trying to provide our warranty. Like for workmanship, we provide 5-year warranty. Generally, it's 2 years, 1 year, about like the industry standards. I mean, we've taken on, even before we implemented the 5-year workmanship warranty, we were taking on calls that came in after 3 years, 4 years. Like clients call us and we show up, we take care of it. That's just something you have to do.
That's a huge deal.
Costs money. We've lost money on projects, but you learn, and you learn quick.
Yeah.
Especially when you're paying out of pocket for those repairs.
And seriously, I mean, what do you hear in the industry? I mean, I had a buddy that did a $150K remodeling job in his kitchen. Couldn't get a hold of the contractor when I was done.
Yeah.
And all it was a little bit of trim.
Mm-hmm.
Just fix some trim, some transitions. It would have been easy.
Yeah.
That's what you run into. So to have experiences with you guys and where you can call and get a hold of somebody and actually have somebody come out, and that's huge. That's a huge separator, I think, in this industry is the service side of it.
It's tough. It's tough to do, especially when you know for sure that, you're going to be losing money on this. But when you show up for the client, some of the best clients we've had were the ones that they had issues come up. We take care of it. And then they're the biggest advocate for us because they see that we're not going to be just declining the call or blocking them after a while.
They're going to say, hey, it may have not been perfect, but when I called him, he came.
And we try. Issues happen. It's construction. Mistakes happen. Issues happen. Somebody could have a bad day. Some guys are just worn out towards the end of the season. We still have to get projects done. We're worn out. Like it's during the busy season, it's tough. It's tough to keep going. But that's kind of the industry.
Well, and going back to your insurance question, it has changed. I think even 2 years ago, you couldn't go to a bonfire in your neighborhood without somebody saying, we got a free roof.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. It's very far, and I don't know if there is a free roof,
right?
Right? I don't even know if there is a free roof out there. There's a covering that you can buy for $300, whatever, something like that. But if you want a roof, something that lasts, it's just simply the insurance isn't going to cover that.
And I don't think they should. Honestly.
And they shouldn't. But
25, 30-year-old roof that served its life.
Sure.
It's tough to make the argument for the insurance company to have to foot the bill for it. If I was the homeowner, I'd see the reasoning with that. But again, it's something that they're paying coverage for, so I'll stay out of it. They can work those issues out, but in general, the exclusions and everything else, it looks like it does seem to be heading towards a more sustainable route where shingles don't have to be replaced.
I mean, even in Western North Dakota, we're seeing a lot of HOAs. That's where we see a lot of our product growth. Where the board will say, we're done. Everybody's got to turn it over. One house will get dropped from their policy, and they won't have it covered anymore. And so they've kind of all come together and go, okay, if this is coming, it's going to come across the board within the next couple of years. Let's start looking elsewhere. We want to still have something that looks the same as the Cedar Shake profile because we love that look, but we want it to last. We want something that can handle hail, wind, UVs, something that won't fade.
Not have the maintenance.
And so that's driving a lot of that conversation about doing something different than the ordinary, doing something different than asphalt or a real slate or real cedar shake. And that's where really DaVinci and their composites come into play. And it's exciting.
It is, yeah. What do you think overall as far as synthetic roofing? Where does DaVinci stand? I mean, there's a lot of new products coming out.
Yeah, there are a lot of good products, but there are also a lot of good products without history. And since we started R&D back in the early 90s, and really, I still firmly believe, I wouldn't be here if I didn't believe it. I've only been with people that have represented kind of the best in industry products, but I still think 100% we are best in class. We have projects, Artem, in and around the area that are already 20 years old. Who else does?
When was the first, like the installations? When did they start?
99.
99, okay.
Yep.
Gotcha. That was a Slate that started?
Shake.
Shake, okay.
Yep.
Interesting.
But we have those projects out there, right? And that's there's not more proof than that.
Yeah.
You've been in the upper Midwest. You've been on a house for 25 years.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see what it does. What was the original color? Smoky gray. Now it looks like it's a middle, maybe a steel gray. Not enough to even. And in some cases, homeowners kind of like the way it pulls those natural colors out of the composite as they change throughout the years.
Yeah.
But the reality is our biggest competition out there that I see as our biggest competition doesn't have the history that we do, and most of them are using recycled material, and that's just in this area. That's just a straight up no for me.
Can you explain why that's a problem? What the issue with using recycled materials?
Yeah,
Because it sounds eco-friendly.
Yeah, but the biggest problem with recycled material is one thing. Is really it's a product that's already been broken down. Okay, so it's already a product that we've recycled. That's the material we're using. Secondly, it's just inconsistent. Where is the product coming from? I mean, you've seen the way we recycle here. I mean, half the time you see a pizza box in it. I mean, I don't know how that all gets. I'm just saying when you look long term.
Papa John's roof, yeah.
Yeah, it's not a perfect process. Right. And when you're using something that's broken down, there's going to be inconsistencies in that product. We can't afford that in the upper Midwest. We can't. That's why we use engineered polymer. That's why we use virgin resins. Those are products that are haven't been tampered with, right? So that's what we're using to build it. Now I know that recycled is a big, and it should be important for everybody. And we do recycle. I mean, we have as close as you can to a net zero waste facility, which is unheard of in Lenexa, Kansas, and Metamora, Michigan. And what I mean by that is, as these products are running down the line, as we're cutting them and injecting them with molding or compression mold out of Metamora, which we do, there are scraps. What we do is we take those scraps and we do recycle those. We just don't put them in the field tile. We don't put them on what's exposed to our weather 365 days.
Or the UV.
We put them in the starter. We put them in the products that go underneath that first course. So the story is still there. The fact that we're doing the right thing is great. Is the product recyclable once it comes to term like the rest of them? Absolutely. So it's no different other than the fact that we're just not willing to take the risk on the front side to use recycled material to build it.
That's a really good tip. I like that a lot. For Minnesota specific, like what challenges are you seeing with DaVinci? Any climate concerns? Anything to be noting? The one thing that I'll bring up is generally the snow retention or lack thereof.
Yeah, that's a good call.
I mean, just like regular slate, it's pretty slippery.
Yep.
Anything else that homeowners should keep in mind?
I just think homeowners need to pay attention to the same things that we kind of both talked about already. Who's putting it up there? Yep. And is the crew confident that they know what they're doing when they get up there? You can have the best material up there, but a lot of people can't. A lot of people don't have the crews you guys do. Yeah. They haven't been putting on DaVinci for years. Those are ones that I want to be in front of that say, listen, we got to do some training or something, because it doesn't matter if I have the best product out there. I can already tell you I don't know how it's going to be represented when it's finished. I hope it's great, but the reality is it's probably not going to be.
Yeah, if people only knew like how many contractors or subcontractors we get stopping over, like just knocking on the door. We get emails with high resolution photos showing their work And then it's just, I mean, we have to vet them. The paperwork, either the paperwork falls through, or then when we ask for projects that they've worked on, and then we see their project that they're working on. I mean, it's a process to vet them, and then to actually
Right.
make sure that they're the crew that they're talking about. And those photos are not just off of a website or some other crews. And most of the time, that's not the crew that was sending the
That's
photos.
correct.
And it's so common. Either the insurance is not there, either the paperwork is not there, registrations and so on. It's especially with like high end.
Yeah.
I mean, you ask them, they'll say yes, they do it. They've installed it tons of times.
Exactly.
Actually seeing it firsthand, good luck. Yeah.
You got a sample? No, but I can get one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you never hear from them again.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. They don't know. They don't even know how to. I mean, this is a market, and today it's more true than ever that you get what you pay for. Okay. I grew up. My dad always said, you get 3 to 5 quotes. You kind of pick a guy in the middle that you like. It's not like that anymore.
Nope.
There's either shortcuts or you're going to pay, and hopefully they cover you. Yeah. That's it. And so I always appreciate when we have people and contractors like you, Artem, that are familiar with the process, that are familiar with and have the history with crews that know how to do these jobs right. I mean, these are crews that you guys are using that come up and go, I know exactly what we're doing. Oh, it's a DaVinci? They may even be excited about it.
They love
That's awesome.
They love it.
Right? That's the best thing to hear, right? If they have a turret, we can build them a turret package course by course. They love that because that's the last thing they want to see. I don't care what material they're using.
I do not want to get involved with turrets, but the guys that we use, man, they're great at that. It's just the puzzle, and it's I can't believe you guys actually measure all that out. And then
I mean, it's pretty impressive. I've seen one built. I've seen them put together one right off the line. How they hand collated it and how they put it together, and it's impressive.
It's craftsmanship.
It is. There's
you're
pride
looking
there.
at those Slate videos or like the tile installation, actual Slate tile. It's the coolest thing ever with the hammer and how they're chipping it away, just out there in the field. I don't know, could be 120 feet up off the ground.
You
working at some church or university. Coolest thing ever. That's kind of going away now, unfortunately.
Yeah, it is. Well, and it becomes clear who's doing it and who's not. Yep. And that's what I'm talking about, right? There's none of these guys anymore. You got to find a guy that you trust and a guy that's going to be around, right? A guy that's not going to be gone in 3 years or change their name to something else or do something fishy that doesn't make sense. We need to focus on people that have been around and that are comfortable with our product.
Yeah.
Going back to snow guards, we use 3 or 4 manufacturers around the U.S. to do it. But I think I told you guys this when I was in front of you. It is incredibly important to have that conversation with this product because it is slippery. So one of the cool things about it is it's slippery. You don't have snow on your roof. So for you to have the 6-inch ice dams is unlikely, which I know is a headache at my house. So I'm part of me is like, I don't care. I'll just let it run right off, right? But the reality is there may be a safety concern around some of those heavily exposure areas, maybe the front door, maybe the back porch, where you slam that door and you get a little vibration, you may see some snow fall off.
Could be a sheet of ice. So that's a good point to bring up. What do you usually see more of, like a fence or a curb system, or more of like individual snow guards and stuff?
Today, and you know this better than ever, whatever the tool we're using to measure our roofing. What do you guys typically use?
EagleView Hover.
EagleView Hover. So a little bit of everything. It's crazy now. I mean, you see roofs today that have 50-some facets, right? And so there are certain areas where there'll be 3 or 4 facets that come together in one valley, right? So where you see those collection points, where kind of those things come together, those may be a challenge. Those are areas where you may want to put a fence up rather than just a snow guard, okay? Because I think fencing in general may be your most efficient overall. Snow guards sometimes with the amount of snow we get may not even be enough.
That's one of one of our clients, that was one of the concerns. We did install some snow guards. It doesn't seem like it's doing all that much, but it's such a steep roof and it's such a big slope. It's a problem.
Yeah. And so I'm always going to tell you guys, and I think that's one of the things I love about DaVinci is everything that I know of this company is very transparent, right? I mean, we talk, when I'm in front of you guys, I want you guys to make sure that's part of your conversation on the front side. That's what makes you stick out, is because you're having those conversations where others are coming in and not bringing that up. And then 6 months later, they got to replace gutters And they go, where's the conversation? Why didn't you tell us?
Rundown, yeah.
Right? Why didn't you tell us about that? Well, at least you guys on the front side are learning to do that, have that conversation on the front side, and just make sure that they know what to expect.
And it's a costly thing too. It's not like a cheap product.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's fabricated by, there's a few companies like you mentioned, but each piece has to be installed separately.
Yeah.
And they go underneath, and it's one by one.
And they're sales folks, right?
Of them.
You throw an Eagle View over to Ariel at one of these places, she'll send back a list of snow guards that you're like, okay, wait a second, I just need some here and here. What is that?
How about just two?
I'm just gonna do two.
One front, one back. We'll call it.
We'll call it good.
Yeah, it's that one is definitely one of the bigger concerns. But like you said, it's a product that's non-porous, so it doesn't retain anything either. So it's kind of there's a danger to it, but as long as that's kind of taken care of on the front end, you know what to expect. Yep. You're not going to have the snow retention. You're not going to have the mold and the growth and the water retention like some of the ice dams and so on. What do you think as far as the underlayment overall, like for ice and water, whole deck, or synthetic felt? What's your opinion?
Well, there's a little bit of difference on both, right? Mm-hmm. And I think the right answer is the ventilation of the house itself, mm-hmm. right? If the house already has good ventilation and you want to use ice and water guard, remember this is an upscale project, mm-hmm. or upscale product. So some people are like, I don't care, just ice and water that whole thing. I just want this thing as secure as it can be. If you got bad ventilation, I would bring that up. I would have that conversation and say, okay, listen, we either got to add a gable vent or do something to get mm-hmm. some movement in here, maybe a solar fan. But otherwise, I would use something more breathable like mm-hmm. a synthetic. As far as what we cover, it comes down to ice and water guard to code, 2 feet into that exterior mm-hmm. wall, right? Synthetic up and over. So mm-hmm. one of the differences about a real cedar shake versus a composite is you don't have to do the interlay, felt and tarp. That adds a lot of labor to that mm-hmm. job, right?
Time consuming.
So this is a product that you can go up and over with synthetic. Mm-hmm. Every product we have is a class 4 impact. That's the highest impact rating you can have.
I think it's higher than that, but they just don't grade it higher.
It is higher than that. That's just where they stop. Yeah. You're exactly right. And then what comes with that is some of the best UV stabilization in the industry. And trust me, we have projects in California, we got projects in Florida. They see sun all the time. I talked to those guys
high altitude
in December. You got it. They're getting burnt, right? Yeah. And it's a product that still looks, I've asked them, just be upfront with me, right? And these are guys that have been in the industry for a long time. Mm-hmm. And they're just like, it looks great. You're going to see maybe a reduction of a couple hundred units or maybe mm-hmm. 400 units, they say. And I'm not super clear on what that looks like. I've looked online and it's just very little. That's mm-hmm. the reality. What we see is, because we hand collate product off the line, meaning you and I are there, making sure that there's the same amount of widths in every bundle, making sure the color profiles when we have a purple and a green are not a whole bundle of purple or a whole bundle of green. Yep. Because we do that type of stuff, you're just going to get a natural fade, and it's going to be consistent anyway. So you're never going to have a freckle up on the facet on the south side or something. You know what I mean? Because that's the stuff that sticks out. What you'll see is a natural fade of everything, and then it's in some cases you come up and it's almost like getting a new roof. It's a little bit lighter. I kind of like it better. Actually, I wish we would have went with this color back 15 years ago, but instead it looks like that. So,
but as far as the darker colors, contrast, and then just having that sharp look initially, fade out wise, what do you think the percentage wise, like after 10 years?
Yeah, it's very little. Like I said, the technical term is 400 units, and I looked at a black, and it's like a
just goes right over
a dark gray. I know. Well, it goes
people,
over
I'm
me
sure
too.
They love it. Yes.
I looked at a level, and it's like a dark gray. A black from a dark gray. And when you look at that, especially when you see the most trending colors in our area, black and blues anyway. Yep. It's very little. Yep. And that's one of the reasons why we came up with that new color profile in Rock Ridge, because that one has a black, a smoky gray, and a steel gray in it. So now as that transform and does a little bit of fade through these next 30, 40, 50 years, I don't even know if you're going to be able to tell. Right. It's still it pulls colors through the day out of this because of their composite. It's really cool how you can put this product on your house at 8 a.m. and or you can pull
So
out of the
that's
driveway
yeah,
at
yep,
8
yep.
and come in at 3, and it has a different look.
Yeah.
But it just adds character, and it is a beautiful product.
Yeah, the curb appeal is one of the biggest, I think, upgrades from, going from anything really, but that especially steep slope houses.
Right.
You have that facade, you're
Yeah.
kind of looking at the house as a whole, and then you're seeing it. It does look like slate.
It's a big piece of it too.
Yeah.
You come up, and that's the first and almost the only thing you notice.
Yep.
You're going to see the roof first, and then you're going to go, oh yeah, it plays well with the brick and the shutters and whatever, but you saw the roof first.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's something that you can drive home every day and go, I'm glad we did this.
Still got it.
Yeah. And 30 years later, you're sitting in the backyard going, probably the best decision we made. I know at the time it was a little bit more expensive because we saw it as an investment in the property. We pushed through that and we made it work. And here we are 30 years later going, this is great.
Yeah. And then one thing with, if you are going that long and you're trying to kind of make it the last roof you're maybe putting on, if you're planning on moving in 30 years, downsizing and so forth, having those flashings replaced at the same time. The chimney
that's a great
crickets,
call out.
that's the thing. Like if
That's
you
a
have to
great
do
call
all
out.
of the step flashing, the roof to wall sections, kickouts, everything, get it all done at the same time.
You know what? That's a great call out. And I think we all know just from this area, a lot of that is settling and all those things that the structure of the house will do. And those are things that really Cedar Shake and Real Slate don't have the flexibility to do, which adds a little bit more of an advantage using a high density or a low density polyethylene. But the cool thing about this product is it's very clean to cut. If you were to take a skill saw and go up and down a rake, you can just up and down, right? And it's good to go. So to your point, if you're redoing the flashing around a roof to wall or a protrusion or a vent or a chimney, this is something that with a straight edge pry bar, you can pry it up still. You can pry this up, replace that flashing, and either replace it with a different tile or use that same tile. So it's something that you're able to keep, right? It's moldable. This is a product that when it's warm outside, if you've got a little curve into your roof, you can give it a little bend on your knee, and it works incredible with those. So with that said, it does allow you the flexibility of removing some of those when you have to do some of the maintenance, like the flashing, like you're talking about, which is pretty cool.
And then generally with, we would be replacing all of it if we were to do a replacement job. But for us, the big points as usual, it's like pipe boots, accessories, vents, just the silicone failing or the rubber gasket failing on the pipe boots. Really common. Now we're talking to Lifetime Tool. It's a company with upgraded accessories and so on. Anything else that you guys recommend? What do you like to see installed with those?
Having an upscale project or product, I've talked about that a couple times. I always tell folks that are interested that the last thing you should be doing is cutting corners on pipe fittings.
Saving $60 on the flash.
It just doesn't make sense, right? And that goes down to the fasteners, right? We do a hot dip, double hot dip, galvanized ring shank nail, right? It's specific what we want up there. There's a reason for that. We've been around 25 years. We've got places that have been around 20 that use something else, and now there's stains, right? There's something that's coming down that we got to figure out what happened. Well, that's the problem, right? So having those partnerships like you guys have, and whether that's new or whether that's growing, huge. I think those are huge deals. And those are areas that you typically see shortcuts. Roof to walls, maybe not replacing the flashing when they redo the roof, right? This looks good, we'll just use that. The problem with that is it's going to discolor in 2 years. It's going to start rusting. Some of those valleys, the open valleys that you see that are rusting out with a roof that's 4 years old, what does that tell you?
That never made sense to me.
Yeah.
If you're replacing the roof, you're going that far, why not just...
Exactly.
Why would you reuse it?
Just do the right thing. And I don't know how that... I've told people this forever. I've been with companies where I haven't had to worry about that. But there's companies that come in and will just undercut you and do whatever. I don't know how they sleep at night. I know you wouldn't be able to do it, and I can't either. So there's a reason why we work with people like you.
Yeah.
We know that you guys have pride in the product that you're doing it. We know that you're going to do it the right way.
We're going to answer if issues do come up. Yep.
And if something comes up, you're
Yeah.
going to answer. But those are huge. We don't partner with everybody.
Yeah.
Right? We don't have relationships with every contractor
Mm-hmm.
that pops up and is dead in 3 years. That's a waste of our time, and it is going to make us all look bad.
Oh, for sure.
That's not where we want to be.
Yeah, it's not a revolving door for us either. We want to make sure that we're whatever we're recommending. If there's a product that we see
Right.
lasting a long time, sustainable, and won't end up in the landfill in 3 years. Then,
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the least headaches for us, the better, and we don't want to be coming back for repairs and so on. We will, but we don't want to.
Right.
If we don't.
Of course.
Have to. So, as far as some, I guess, reservations or concerns, like homeowners that are hesitating on making the jump to DaVinci, what are you usually hearing? Like, what are the
Well, I think
concerns?
price is always an objection, right?
Should we jump into that?
Yeah. Well, I think you have to look at an upscale project, and this is across the board. You have to look at these types of products. Specifically, this one's a lot easier to look at it like this, but it is an investment on your biggest investment in most cases. So if you look at a roof and you were to break it down and say, what are kind of the most important parts of this roof? Your first and foundation, right? If you don't have a foundation that's working and functional, then fix that first.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that. Other than that, you guys, a roof covers 100% of your home. So functionally, it is 100% needed, and it is very important to do the right thing up there. We've already talked about what a covering is versus a roof, right? I'm talking about doing the right thing on top. If you do that, the amount of problems you will really eliminate through the 20, 30, 40, 50 years that you're in that home will be significant. There wasn't an attic I went in that I didn't see some sort of leaking, some sort of moisture. And I'm not saying that's always bad, but what I'm saying is when it starts indenting into the insulation, when you can see streamlines of water coming in, that stuff is urgent.
Yeah.
That means that somebody took a shortcut or something. If this is only 6 years old, that's not a good sign. Something happened here, but we need to take care of it because you're either 6 months away from having a daughter have a stain on her bedroom ceiling
collapse on her,
something in your kitchen, and you just spent $150,000 in your kitchen. That's the last thing you want to do. Why are you cutting corners on the roof?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
We've had, I think this came up twice, 2 or 3 times, newer real estate agents asking us, why would people even, who cares about the roof? It's just the roof. Like, you can't see it anyway.
Yep.
It just blew my mind. Like, every time I hear that kind of feedback, it just doesn't make sense. It's the one thing that protects your home from the outside. Whatever's outside, whatever's pouring and snowing on top of your roof, that's the thing that protects it from coming inside. It's just, it's funny.
It is almost comical.
Yeah.
The way they treat it. And I tell people too, because with a product like this, working with a company like you guys, you can get reduction on premiums. Your insurance company absolutely should incentivize you to put a product like this up, and you'll get a reduction on premiums with a proof of purchase and a proof of install, because of the fact that it's a Class 4 impact, because of the fact that it's a Class A fire rating, and 110 wind ratio, and lifetime limited warranty. But you put all those together, that's something that insurance should appreciate, and I think they do. We've seen a couple of really nice insurance breaks for customers, depending on the situation.
What do you usually see? What's the approximate?
I mean, I've seen 28, but between you and I, that makes me feel like they haven't looked at the policy for like 20 years and are like, we need to cinch this one down a little bit. Auto debit is in some ways not the best for some people if you're not paying attention.
Yep.
I would say safely you're anywhere from 8 to 18.
Okay.
Those are pretty consistent with what I've seen. And so going back to your point around price, because it is a little bit more expensive, you have to look at where you're putting your money. Second most important part of your home, your biggest investment that a lot of us own.
Yeah.
You should be right around the 10 to 20% of the home value, putting it up there if you look at it that way, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at that, it doesn't seem so far-fetched to have something a little bit higher up there. But if you look at the appreciation over the year,
Yeah.
to me, just the beauty of the home, If you have a real estate folks or somebody that comes in and doesn't appreciate what's up there, that I would move on.
Yeah.
I would move on, because on mine, if I ever sell it, which I don't think I will, I'm going to have this and pass it down to my daughters, but I'm going to have an asterisk on the front page of that listing that goes, welcome to your new roof that you don't have to touch for 40 more years.
Your roof comes with a home. Yeah.
You know, it's transferable. You're good to
Yeah.
go. You know,
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about that. I mean,
Yeah.
in this market, to have the second most important piece to this puzzle covered and not have to worry about it for 50 years.
The
Thank you.
decades, that's the thing, yeah. Having it covered and not having to go through the insurance claim again, not having to deal with insurance companies. I mean, that's very time consuming. And lately it's been getting more and more time consuming. The rise in premiums, the higher, just the premium across the board, the deductibles and so on. And it's becoming just a cyclical, like every few years, especially with the more frequent storms that it's, I mean, even for us, it's getting old, you know, trying to deal with, you know, kind of, we just want to do the repairs. We just want to, whatever there's damage, we just want to repair it and move on.
Right.
We don't want to have to fight it for 2 years with the insurance adjuster because they're hesitant or they're, you know, being picky about the other contractors that were, you know, trying to take advantage of the situation.
And they're so different, right? They're so different. You can have 10 houses, same storm. You could have the same year built. You can have the same structure. You'll have 2 approved, 2 impending, 6 of them that are like, no way.
0 damage.
Like we're all in the same boat here, you know. So, and we don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole, but that's the nature of it. And I hope as we start making better decisions, because I think with these insurance changes, I think the conversation of composite will come up a little more than it used to. With that said, there'll be more composites every year and hopefully less traffic on our streets, because God forbid if there's a storm, you're going to have somebody on a 2-wheeler.
You're not getting out of your house. Exactly.
And you're going to see about 4 of them a day. And they're going to say they did a neighbor's
40,
house.
probably 40.
Yeah. They're going to say they did Johnson's. You know, and so hopefully that's kind of where we're headed. But
yeah, the sustainability for sure, not having to redo it. And just what do you think approximately market wise? I mean, we're putting you on the spot here, but asphalt shingle to DaVinci, what's the X amount?
You know, if you're looking at a good asphalt shingle, because you can get an asphalt shingle. I mean, you know. A good asphalt shingle, I would say you're looking at double. And you're going to get double the lifespan. But you'll have less of a headache, less breakdown, less fading. There's a lot more advantages. And the beauty of the just driving up and seeing the aesthetic appeal to the house, you would never second guess it. You know, you would say that, you know what, honey, going from 8 to whatever, 16 or whatever the example may be, you'll be happy with the outcome.
Yeah, and a lot of the times it could be an insurance project that you could finance a portion of it and then have the upgrade completed at the same time. So that makes more sense as well.
And that's kind of, you know, not to cut you off, Arm, but that's what I tell my neighbors, right? That's what I tell my wife is if we were to get an insurance claim approved, we're going to use that money as a down payment to do something that we'll never have to touch again. That's what I want people to think about, right? Is not what can I get for this, because you're not going to be able to get much for it, if anything. With proration, with the changes in the policy, with everything that's going on, you'll get next to nothing. But there's still somebody out there that'll do it.
Yeah, for sure.
That's not good. What does that tell you? You know, and think about that, right? You guys, the volume of roofs that you're doing, if anybody's going to get a lesser cost on the product, it's people that are pushing it.
You would think.
So the people that are coming, you know what I mean?
You would think,
you know, so if people just think about that a little differently, they'll start understanding, okay, you know, this isn't the right way to approach this. We need to figure out who's really going to take care of us long term and what materials are they putting up there that we know can last long term.
And we'll try to cut corners underneath whatever's not visible.
Right.
What do you see as far as, well, kind of across the board, but misconceptions from the homeowner side about the roofing industry, the products and so on? Pricing is a big one for us. Just not understanding how many price increases we get. I mean, 3 has been kind of the average every year, and it's every time it's 6 to 8%. Now it's 10% this coming April. So anything aside from that you're seeing homeowners?
Well, I can tell you this much. You know, first of all, on our pricing side, just specifically, we haven't changed it since November of 23, which is almost unheard of. So we've
This is
gone.
recorded. This is good.
So you're using the same pricing that I sent to you last year, which, I'm not saying it's lasted forever. It absolutely won't, but that's a good story.
Yeah.
And we have some things coming up in May, some things that we're doing, some advancements in our technology. So there may be something coming. I don't know when that is. It doesn't matter. But the reality is again, going back to what we were talking about, Artem, you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
And it's going to cost more to do the right thing. That's just the plain and simple truth of it. It's going to cost more to hand collate. It's going to cost more to have a mix of the high density polyethylene and low density polyethylene versus using a product like a polypropylene, which you can snap over your leg, right? So, we avoid that.
Yeah, get into it. I mean, people usually say, "Well, it's plastic. Plastic is plastic." Kind of a comment. That's something that we've heard. Obviously, we like Cedar. Obviously, we like Slate, the real stuff. But then when you take into consideration like the weight of the product, if you're installing Slate onto a roof that didn't have Slate before, good luck trying to figure out the structural integrity and then re-supporting the roof structure and so on. There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot
There's a lot there,
Yeah.
and it gets brittle. Gets brittle.
Yeah.
If you have to inspect a cedar shake, good luck not cracking those. It's no different than a clay in Arizona.
Yeah.
Once they start going, you can't step on. I've been on a concrete roof before, and I was like, "Oh, this is fine. It's concrete," and I broke 3 tiles.
We've had some of them that just slide right out, like the shakes. It's like they never nailed them, and that's dangerous for us too. We try not to step on too many of them, fly the drone and so on.
Oh, they're really slick. I mean, ours is a slippery product too, but when they have any moisture in them, which after 10 years, they pretty much always do.
I mean, any moss, anything, it's a slip and slide. Those are really dangerous. When homeowners are picking the new products, when they're choosing between, how would you approach that conversation? If they have the Cedar Shake roof right now, they're looking to switch, but they really like that Cedar Shake look. They really like the product and maybe the original, they still like the smell. They remember how it looked initially.
Yeah.
You guys have like different shades, different stages of life as far as colors go, right?
Say that again.
Different shades, so different like colors.
Right. Different stages but that's mostly just color difference, right? It's not because because our product isn't supposed to fade, right? I mean, it will naturally, especially in this environment. But we're not saying
different stage of Cedar Shake life.
Yeah, right. There you go. There you go. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, if you like the gray version versus the new Cedar, we absolutely do. The biggest thing for me, Artem, is we gotta ask questions and listen. Right? These homeowners, they'll tell us what they want. If they want something long-term, check DaVinci. If they want something that isn't made with recycled material because this is a harsh environment, check DaVinci. If they want something that will fade and has the best fade rate in the industry, check DaVinci. If they want something with a high wind rating and high level impact rating, check, right? We have to figure out what's important to them. Is it the aesthetic appeal? Is it the toughness, the integrity of the product? Is the look of the product the most important thing?
Yeah.
We don't find that out unless both people are there and they're both involved. And once you get them both involved, we'll be able to get down to what's important to them. They should lead us to the DaVinci solution. That's what we want. We don't want to tell them what their solution is. We want them to tell us what they think their solution is, and then we'll come with them. And then we'll say, well, actually, now that you mentioned that, Artem, the longevity, not having to clean the mold and mildew off, all the streaking and all the things that have happened, I actually have something that is best in class that you're going to love, and it is going to make this, it's going to increase home value, it's going to make this place look incredible. That's how we get to the DaVinci solutions, is asking those questions. And if there are ever concerns around, and I know I mentioned this to you guys, around color, not everybody's an expert at color, right?
That's what I was going to ask, actually, my next question.
We've got, Kate Smith is an international color expert. She's contracted specifically with DaVinci. She's on HGTV everywhere. Okay, so when you look at all the flip my house, flip your house, flip everybody's house, whatever it is, she's typically part of those color consults. And so, with you, as you guys know, you take a couple of good photos of your house, send it to me, and within 3 to 5 days, she'll write up something. And I would like a reference from them, right? What do they think will look good. Oh, smoky gray. Okay, I'm going to put on here, Kate. Can you take a look at this house and let me know what you think? There's a lot of foliage in the area. We're at the lake. We're, the sun is different throughout the day. They like a smoky gray. What do you think with those black shutters and the bricks out front? Do you think that's a fit?
Yeah, how do they approach it? I've talked to a few designers, and the majority of the time it was kind of making it like a sandwich. So you have the contrast up top and then down low. So if you have brick accent or some kind of a stone, you try to kind of make it more of a sandwich look.
I'll tell you
the
what.
middle could be different, but
You're talking above my level. Kate Smith is an international color expert for a reason.
We'll stay out of it. Yeah.
But what I'll tell you is that our products, and almost all of them, have undertones. So they have 2, 3, 4 color undertones in them, which pop differently in different times of the day. She knows that. She's very wise with our product and is very familiar with it. So she is looking at, just the red brick with the black one over here in the corner. She's looking at the way the chimney looks, or all those the black shutters or whatever it is, and that's what she takes into consideration when she makes her color consult recommendation, if you will.
Is she just recommending copper to everybody?
Yeah, no. But I don't know why you wouldn't. There's nothing cooler than a black slate or our new Rock Ridge slate with copper gutters and copper valleys. Maybe even some copper snow guards. It looks beautiful.
There's a house I know
Yeah,
everybody knows.
You got it.
On a certain lake that's got all of that.
Oh man, it's beautiful.
Expensive, so expensive. Those copper valleys.
There's no doubt.
That's
but those are the people that they don't have a lot of time, right? They're small business owners or athletes or whatever they are. The money isn't the thing. They want to work with the right people. They want to put the right things up. They want to make sure they're protected. So doing a job with Foremost, using a DaVinci product, using the snow guards from Rocky Mountain Snow Guard, whatever it is, that should be giving them. That should be
the assurance.
That should be the assurance, right? That's going to make them drive up every day on their long driveway to their huge home by the lake.
Heated driveway.
Yeah, heated driveway. Exactly.
With the gate, what do you see as far as the next 5 years? One for DaVinci and then overall the roofing industry. What are your thoughts on you just went to the Roofing Expo. Yeah. Maybe some new stuff is coming out.
Yeah, there's some new stuff. They're still battling solar quite a bit. And I've heard some really hit or miss things on solar.
Tariffs, or what are we talking here?
Shingles, things like just the actual product itself. How to introduce solar into the market. I still think solar in our area isn't necessarily a player. I think we've all had a quote because of a huge incentive that was put out by the government, and at the end of the day, they would have to cover almost my whole house, my whole roof with these things. So I still think we're far away from them really finding a good roofing solution. And what I mean by that is in our climate.
Right.
In a mild climate, there's probably a bunch of stuff that works. And they have more sun. So, that's plenty. They've got ways to store it. They've got ways to transfer it. I think it works. But DaVinci, and one of the reasons why we're talking about adding lines and adding capacity at both of our plants, double-digit growth the last 7 years in a row. So that is significant. Millions of pounds of product that we're growing.
What's the most, the highest demand product? What do you guys?
Your most popular is going to be on the Slate side, a Slate Black. Blacks are black, right?
Single width or multi width?
Multi width. Yep. Or on the what's also close on the Slate side is Province, and that's because that's your inexpensive. That's the one with the self-aligning ledge that you can do course by course. Yep. Helps you out. It's single width only, right? But it's inexpensive because of the way we built it, and we built it for installers. And of course, when you've come to that point and you just can't reach here, this is a great alternative. Still level 4, still all the good stuff. Same thing and colors in that are going to be black and probably a smoky gray up in this area. And then on the flip side, the shake side, you're looking at, again, multi-width, and then that select shake that we came out with.
Bella Forte is no longer...
Bella Forte is no longer around. Yeah. But select shake is a really cool product, probably my favorite, at least engineered product that R&D has come up with. 2 tiles, one's a 10-inch, one's an 8-inch. The 10-inch has a keyway that makes it look like a 6 and a 4-inch.
Yeah.
So now you have an 8, 6, and a 4-inch. So it looks like it's a multi-width, but it's only 2 tiles.
Yeah.
Very easy for crews to install. I mean, all these products are very easy. You really only need 2 nails. I would recommend 4 of the hot dipped on your Province, on your single width slate Province style. But other than that, you really only need 2, right? At least on the initial.
Oh yeah, and then extends
Right,
out
because
so
you're going
far.
to get you're going to get the other 2 on top anyway. But favorite colors on the and most popular colors on the shake side are going to be black oak is my favorite, and aged cedar.
Okay. I think aged cedar was the one that we were using.
Yeah,
before. Black oak is what would you say? Cedar lifetime, like which stage of life is that going to be closer to?
Black oak, it has a lot more black in it. It would be, well past gray. If there's any point of between an aged cedar and the gray that it becomes darker or I'm not sure as far as that.
Yeah, it's hard to describe.
That
usually,
color's a little different.
Yeah, when you look at the cedar shake roof and it's at that point where it's black, it's probably the felt is showing or something along those lines. But this looks good.
If you're looking at an aged cedar versus our grays in shake, then you're looking at the 5 years probably. Cedar shake is already gray. So then that we have those products out there. We have I can't remember the color offhand. I'll remember here later, but. Yep. We have weathered gray. We have things like that are supposed to resemble those stages that you're talking about. Those are all out there. And people like that. Some people want that aged cedar, the newer look. Some people want a new cedar. Those are all options out there.
And it's nice to be able to alternate if you're in an association that's, let's say, cedar shake roofs right now.
Exactly.
And everybody's getting them replaced. If you want to be same product, slightly different color, maybe an offset.
How do I differentiate myself from everybody else, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So if you were doing
a lot of that in Minneapolis.
Yeah. Cedar shake replacement, you would go with the select shake, right, on those?
I would go select shake and I would do black oak.
Okay.
But that's my house. I have black shutters and then I have like a modern green slate.
Yeah.
It's just a beautiful, that would look incredible on there. And if I went slate, I'd do that new Rock Ridge. If not, I'd do the black.
And the Rock Ridge, that's when is that coming out?
That March 1st came out.
Oh,
2 days ago.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep, we had it at the show late Feb at IRE, and they couldn't even order it then. They had to wait until March 1st to put it on order.
So big, not issue, but big kind of hesitation was the lead times. You're kind of placing an order. You're telling the customer, "Hey, we'll see you next year." Yeah. When you're getting them, started with the product.
Yeah. On some now, don't generalize.
On some, not all of them. Not all of
generalize.
them. I'll give you that. Yeah. But it was taking a while, and that was a harder sell.
Yeah.
What do you think as far as lead times now? Because you guys are opening up more plants, right? You said
we didn't open up more plants. We've added lines.
Okay.
And we're adding capacity, which because I've mentioned that having that $19 billion Westlake behind you, that helps because not everybody is able to add capacity as fast as we did. I wish we would have did it earlier. Of course, everybody says that now, right? But the reality is that's another thing that we need to figure out how important that is to the homeowner. Because if they fall in love with something and really love it and they don't have an urgency to replace it, they're just doing it because they want something really great. Some of them may take a little bit, right? Some of them may take up into the 20 weeks, up into the later 20-week area. But the reality is we have products across the board anywhere from if you were to want an Inspire slate, which has the shape itself is thinner, it looks more like a real slate as far as the physical characteristics. Just a different aesthetic appeal. That's the one that comes out of Metamora, Michigan. We send 4 trucks a month to UK. It's huge into Europe and it's growing like crazy over there. So that is part of our portfolio as of 2022 as a slate option.
Where does that stand on the kind of the price scale?
It's probably second. So you look at a multi-width, then you go down to Inspire, then you go to single width slate, then you go to Province.
Gotcha.
But the difference between Province and multi-width, significant.
Yep.
That's
quality and
maybe 35% different. So there's a significance there. So, but what the Inspire gives you is that short lead time. So if that's more important and you still like the look of it, because there's plenty of people out there that love that better than the stuff coming out of Lenexa,
Sure.
perfect. If I had a business case of any kind, if you were to tell me they're going to do something else unless I can get it next week, I'd be able to get you a truckload of it.
Oh,
That's how quick we can have it.
okay.
So, and that's because there is product on the plant ground or on the ground because we're shipping it to UK.
And that came with the Westlake involvement?
That came with what? It's another company under the Westlake umbrella, and added to our portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
So there's products out there. My point is, there's products out there that we could get as soon as a week.
Yep.
There's a multi-width shake and slate anywhere from 8 to probably 14 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the range. 10 weeks is kind of, we want to be 8 to 10 is kind of our goal if we're just running efficient and running the heck out of the plant. For an upscale product, it should take a little bit. It should make you
build up the excitement.
Yeah,
you have to
and
be
it should
excited
make
for
the
it.
customer feel good, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it makes me nervous when they're like, great, I can do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm like, I thought you said this was like special.
Special order, yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like, what's special about it? You know, who else is getting it? So it'll take some time, but weeks, we have anywhere from a week to 6, 8, 10, 12, those, depending on the profile, whether you're doing a multi-width, whether you're doing a single width, whether you're doing an Inspire, whether you're doing a Province or Select Shake, they all vary.
Yep.
So we need to pay attention to what's important to the homeowner, why they like it, because maybe we have another option. A lot of times, especially as contractors, we only bring one sample. So they fall in love with that. Well, that doesn't mean that there isn't something else in our shake profile that they either like more or like just as much that we can sell that also, is the time frame that they want, right? Well, if you love the Select Shake, we got the multi. Do you like the multi-width? Well, actually, the Select Shake, we can cut that with a utility knife, and now you actually have an 8-inch, 6-inch, 4-inch, and a 10-inch.
Yep.
It's basically a multi-width for a Select Shake cost, right? And so those are options out there.
Okay, gotcha. Well, that's good. That's good info.
Long answer, but important.
We'll try to put in a graph or a timeline, some updated lead times. This is a breakdown.
Add chart.
Yeah. Well, that helps a lot because that was one of those things where it's like you're kind of hesitant just because of that, and then the installation, it's hard to schedule production and so on. And I mean, there's a lot more scheduling that goes into it. You have to schedule the tear-off crew, you have to schedule the install crew, have to get the porta potty delivered because it is going to be a long install.
Right.
That's another thing to keep in mind. It's going to take a while. So when our guys are installing, we want to use cap nails on the felt. We don't want to use staples because that'll tear it.
Yep.
So we want to use cap nails. We want to make sure that we use good felt, top of the line underlayment.
Extremely important.
It's one of those things where you can't cut costs on that.
No.
You don't know. Sometimes it does take longer. And
100%.
sometimes it's like the underlayment is what's going to protect it until the product gets installed.
What I wish you guys had a better understanding around, and that's across the whole, the whole Foremost team, is when our lead times are out that much. In this case, 80% of it is really due to a bad mold that we got last year or just open orders.
Sure.
We hate it too.
Yeah.
We're talking about it every Monday. We're doing the same thing. We're all fighting for the same thing. The last thing I want to say is a 20-some week lead time.
Yep.
That makes me feel terrible, right? So we're always asking those questions. Now,
I like the fact that you're working on improving that.
yeah,
That's even the shingle suppliers. We've had you go through the big storm years, and then you see some of them kind of, making sure that they're prepared, and some of them are shutting plants down instead of opening new ones.
right.
Who knows? You guys seem to be, kind of moving in the right direction.
I think we're moving in the right direction, and we're asking the right questions, right? What part of the production process takes the longest? How do we shorten that?
Yep.
Is it the curing process? I mean, that's what's killing us. That takes 30 minutes. Let's figure out how to do that in 15. Then the whole total, instead of an hour to spit out a tile, takes, 45 minutes.
Yep.
Holy crap, we're putting out how many more tiles a day, how many more tiles a week? Those are questions we're asking. And in some cases, there aren't easy solutions.
Right.
But, we're not going to put out something that we don't trust and believe in. And so there aren't going to be shortcuts, and that takes time. It just does. You add a line, these are millions of dollars of equipment in a facility if you have space to put out and help your production speed up. It takes time.
Oh, for sure. Warranty, do you mind just going into detail?
It is a limited lifetime warranty. It is no different than a manufacturer warranty that you typically see out there for any sort of long-lasting roof material. And then it'll prorate starting at year 10. It's like you divide, say, in depth, you divide like 600 by the remaining months left in the warranty, and that's how much it'll prorate out till it reaches
end of
the
life
term, the end of the term. Yeah, it's no different than anything else. What I tell you and what I tell others is, if you're doing a good job and you're not cutting corners, I've been with companies that have 30-year non-prorated, 50-year non-prorated warranties. Those are things that if you're doing the right thing, you can do that. Now, do you price that in there? Absolutely, you price it in there,
protect yourself
right?
too,
And so those are the types of things. That's how you earn value, right? Is I don't care that I paid $250 more than Lyle did across the street. I just got help in 2 days after making a call. He's been trying to get a hold of him for 4 months.
Yeah.
It is what it is, right? So, the warranty is the warranty.
And I mean, the warranty is one of those things where it's most of the time within the first few months,
Yeah.
especially with Minnesota weather and the severe, you got the freezing and thawing repeatedly, and you're going to see it. You're going to see
lawyers write them, right?
Yeah.
Every TV has a year warranty.
And then other lawyers read them, so yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They look at claims and they go, okay, what we've noticed in claims is at year 12, we start seeing a couple claims here. Let's start prorating out at 10, or, shingles are no different, right?
Yeah.
They'll tell you how long they think they can last in every climate.
Yeah.
But
I wish homeowners would take the time and actually read through the paperwork.
I know. I went through it. It's something
they would
that
be surprised how much we end up, footing the bill for. Instead of the warranty department, right?
Yeah.
Should have.
That's a good point. It'd be. I think it would be pretty evident if you were able to break those costs down and go, look at how much they're taking away from you already at year 6.
Yeah.
What does that tell you, right?
What are you really getting? Yeah.
We're standing behind it with a 5-year labor warranty. What do you think that costs? It's a big deal.
Yeah.
Those are things that people should be caring about.
That's for sure. Yeah. Just kind of switching it off a bit, but maybe some rapid fire, some fun questions for you.
Okay.
Biggest roofing horror story or like a disaster on site that you've seen in your experience?
Man, most of them have been places I came up to. So not jobs that, thank God, I sold.
Yeah.
I'll never forget going into an attic, doing my normal routine, and looking at some of the exposures, your turtle vents, your can vents, or whatever you want to call them, right? And I'm looking, I'm like, okay, these 4 look okay. There's a little bit of leaking coming in here, which sometimes is expected depending on, what they did for ice and water and flashing or whatever it was. I go up on the house, there's 10 vents. There was only 4 cut. So somebody came over after the fact and said, ventilation's your problem, which they're probably right.
Yeah.
But then they just added the vents and didn't cut them.
Cutting, yep.
So that is my biggest and something that sticks out to me as far as shortcut. And that's what you see if you're going with, you get what you pay for.
Yep.
If you're going with that guy, don't expect not to have somebody that knows what they're doing come in and find these things.
Yeah,
because that's what's going to happen.
The crew that we use for DaVinci specifically, they called us and they said, "Hey guys, you need a couple more vents here. Looks like it was a space that wasn't divided in the attic. We didn't know." As they're doing it, they're like, "We're gonna need some more vents." That's the crew you want.
Yeah,
that's the crew you want.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the other side of that would be, they have the openings, but they have just shingles going right over them. That's
exactly.
pretty common too.
Yeah.
Over the top, like what's the most over the top luxury feature you've seen on roofs?
Luxury feature.
Yeah. Completely unnecessary. Something.
Yeah. Geez, I would have to say, I don't know. It probably has something to do with like a solar fan type thing. In Minnesota, I would just go right back to solar. Most of our houses, it just doesn't make sense. If you've got a guy sitting across from you that's saying, "Yeah, it's great. You can recoup your money. You'll break even in about 14 years, and we'll have to put solar panels over the whole house and whatever." And trust me, I want to see these things in 6 years. I want to see them in 6 years.
Yeah, we got some reservations about them as far as just the installation and the condition of the shingles after they
Installation,
install.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
so I have for your reference, I have a job that's coming up that's going to be that they're adding solar to. And what I would do is work with you personally and that crew. And because we're not held responsible for all the bolts they're putting through your roof, right? So if they're able to connect to the facer or do some sort of bracketing that limits that, of course we want that.
Yeah.
But secondly, if they're putting any holes in after the fact, like we either need to be involved or maybe we have. I mean, we've offered to be out there with them, and they're like, no. Like,
We've replaced slopes.
They don't want to do that.
Yeah, after
right?
solar
We're going to hold them
installers,
accountable.
There's so much foot traffic. People don't know. People just see the solar panels are installed. You don't know what happened underneath.
Exactly.
How those mounts were flashed.
Exactly. Look in those ads.
Yeah.
Tell me what you see.
Right.
I mean, you get in some cases an eighth, 3/16 of an inch of expansion and contraction throughout the year here. That means that every nail in our roof is more or less a water wick.
Yeah.
Because if it shrinks, there's space.
Yeah.
And if you got snow up there in a 50-degree swing like we had a week ago, where do you think the water's going?
Yeah.
It's path of least resistance, right? So it's going to go there.
All those brackets that hold them in place retain a lot of snow and ice. Yeah.
You got it.
As far as upgrades, what would you recommend to every homeowner? What kind of, I guess, either accessory or just overall roofing system installation, what kind of upgrade should they consider and keep in mind?
Yeah, I mean, I think, to our conversation prior, a roof is an investment to your biggest investment, right? And so the last thing, and one of the last things you want to cut back on or save money on is it should be your roof. It covers 100% of your home. So if you were asking me in general, I'd tell you foundation and roof. Don't cut on those two. I think those are the most important thing. But specifically within the roof itself, to work with the right people. Yeah. To have that support, have that customer service, work with the right manufacturer that's been around the longest or longer in the industry, that has projects that you've seen that are 20 plus years old. But it has so much to do with what we talked about before, Artem, and working with a contractor like Foremost that is familiar with the product, working with the crew that loves showing up every day, seeing that their next job is actually a DaVinci roof, right? Yeah. That's going to be represented. That happiness, that content will be represented in the finished product. That's what we want, because that's what our homeowners fell in love with to begin with, right?
Yeah, that was one of the compliments we've gotten was when the crew was installing it, that crew specifically that we used for DaVinci projects. It was just cool to see that the homeowners like, the guys were always smiling. They loved it. They're just enjoying it.
Awesome to hear.
We show up and we're smiling too, because we see them doing a great work, and then it's an enjoyable thing. I want to jump in and help.
Yeah, exactly. What can I do?
Yeah, show me how to do this. Show me how to do this.
Yeah, exactly.
But they're so good at it, and it just it makes the day fly by, and at the end of the day, the project is done, and they see that the crew is actually enjoying the work. So it's like craftsmanship. It's something they enjoy. They want to take pride in it, and they want to be proud of the product that they install.
Absolutely.
But with DaVinci, I mean, there's so many things that go into. We talked about it kind of briefly, but it's not just regular, valley flashing. It's not just it's custom fabricated valley metal.
That's correct.
There's rake ends. There's all these kind of things that you should be asking your contractor if they're going to be quoting that roof. What kind of nails are they going to be using? How many nails? Where are they going to be getting the underlayment? What kind of underlayment they're going to be using? What kind of metal? All that. Is there accessories that they should be upgrading? The pipe boots, the bathroom vents, and so on. Are they replacing let's say the furnace deck? Are they replacing the base flashing?
Right.
That's a common one. Chimney crickets and so on.
And those are things that are going to separate you guys with the competition. And that's what the homeowner, we hope, never finds out, because we hope they just do business with you that's familiar with the product, because those are the areas that we see shortcuts. Those are the questions that we see are missed in their homeowner when they're having that initial conversation with the homeowner is what do we need to do for valleys? And that works with everything. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It may work, but there's things out there that just fit the roofing solution of DaVinci a lot better. And
Yeah.
you guys have already been through all that, right?
Yeah.
You already know how to do a T-edge on the rake side. You already know what valleys are the crew's favorite, you know, that they love installing DaVinci with because it just looks better. Those are exactly those are some of the most important parts.
The
of
biggest
this puzzle.
failures in the roofing system, and the ones that are not that much more to get upgraded, like lifetime warranty.
Yeah, $60. But yeah, exactly.
It just doesn't make sense. But then at the end of the day, like some homeowners, they choose to save money on that. They just say we want the lowest price, even though they're going with a premium product. They want to get that deal. Maybe they feel like that's going to be, you know, kind of to lock it in or to feel like they got a great deal. Maybe they want that savings, but that's not what you want to save.
Very few understand that piece. That's why we love working with contractors like you.
Yeah.
Because we don't have to go, it's not an education 101. You guys know what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's more or less, well, here we got kind of a weird thing around this valve. These two hits are meeting and it's creating this little area. They probably have a solution. Most of the time, these crews that you guys are using are just checking with me and Eric and just saying, is there a better way of doing this, or do you like what we're doing? They've already come up with it because they've done so many jobs. They've seen every facet out there. They've seen every roof to wall, every chimney size, shape, every
dead valley.
Exactly. That's cool stuff. I mean, there's a lot of slopes that run into flat. You know, what do we do here? What do we do? You know, so it's awesome to have crews like yours that are prideful in what they do, and it's represented in the product.
Yeah. And it makes the whole process more enjoyable.
Yeah.
I don't want to be seeing a crew that's just dreading their life as they're doing it.
Exactly.
You know?
Imagine a homeowner sitting in the picture window just going, I mean, that gives you no confidence.
Yeah. I paid how much for this? And like, how do you expect them to, you know, do good work on the roof when you can't see it? You know?
You got it.
And so just kind of jumping topics, but overall, let's say we're comparing right now, there's a lot of inquiries about the stone coated steel roofs, metal roofs in general, Cedar, Shake, and DaVinci. And I know where you stand, obviously. With the preferred product, but what are the pros and cons?
Yeah, I mean, I can personally talk about two of those in depth, right? Pros and cons. Pros of Cedar Shake, in my opinion, is aesthetic appeal. The con is it doesn't last long. And the con is the maintenance. The con is that, you know, if you're not cleaning and sealing it every 5 years, which adds a ton of cost to that initial price, it's not going to maintain that look and that integrity for very long. And once it gets past that point, it's absorbing water, it becomes fire hazards. If it's not taking in water, I mean, there's just a lot of things that can go wrong. The metal, you know, I mean, that's another company, Unified Steel, that does a phenomenal stone-coated metal, 26 gauge. It's a phenomenal product. I would say the only challenge that I saw in representing that product was some of the fasteners are exposed. And those are stone coated as well. So initially they look phenomenal. But I just think over the years and over the seasons as they change, the weather, as we talked about before, is relentless here. You know, the roofs don't get vacation. They take 365 every year, no matter what, right? So I think some of that stone loss may come off of some of those 2.5-inch screws. And if that is the case, if the sun hits that metal or that, you know, that it may make a glare or a glisten that you may see if you're driving up to your house. So that's really the only thing I can say. Otherwise I like the way the product is engineered, pressed and stamped 3 different times. It is strong. I mean, you can walk on it. You can do a little bit of everything.
The one thing we did see over the past, I think, couple of years, we're starting to see more of a metal. Same with Cedar, I guess. The more premium quality products on the roofing, we're seeing exclusions with insurance companies. So they're calling the impact cosmetic, and then what you end up with is on the stone-coated roof, it may not be as visible, but on some of the standing seam, that hail damage really becomes visible.
I've replaced them. I've replaced a roof standing seam that was less than a year old, and that was a 26 gauge. But the problem is when you get any sort of bump or ding in that, it expands, right? It stretches that paint, that causes fade, and then you drive up to your home and the sun is out there,
Yeah.
and it almost looks like it has freckles, or you can
Mhm.
see all those imperfections,
Well, it's
right?
like after a big storm, you're driving by and
Yeah.
you're seeing a car and the stoplight next to you, and the hail damage is very
Exactly.
obvious. It's
Yeah.
not like it's just cosmetic only; it becomes
Mhm.
functional over time.
And if you're looking at it, you
Yeah.
know, not in the right light, you may have said, I'm not even going to worry about a claim.
Mhm.
It doesn't look that bad. But in that light, it's like,
Yeah.
ugh. And
And
try
as
to
the
get
time
that
goes
by a
on,
wife. I'll
yeah.
tell you that don't work.
Yeah, it may
Um,
not be visible from all angles, but it does, especially with the granules being
Yeah.
knocked off, the stone coating being knocked off. You start getting deterioration. It's metal roof, steel, so yeah.
You
To
got
me,
it.
yeah, that's the exposed fastener, which I think they're working on
Yeah.
making. I think Boral is
Making something
it used
that
to be
they
Boral,
can,
now it's a
that's
Westlake
hidden.
product. So now it's hidden, so the exposed fastener shouldn't be a problem anymore. I think
that's smart.
another one, yeah.
Yeah. That was
Yeah.
really one of the only things. You know, when we look at real cedar shake, stone coated metal, which I still on the metal side I
Mhm.
think is best in class, and then the best in class DaVinci Slate or shake profile, aesthetic blows these other two away. That's the
Mhm.
one thing I'll say that I absolutely love about DaVinci, that I will say that I prefer it over that stone coated metal.
Yeah.
It is a beautiful product, and it's for a homeowner to put a fair amount of money down on an important investment, and just to be able to drive up to that every day with a smile on your face. I mean, it's got to make you feel good. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
as the years pass, as the decades pass, and you've seen your neighbor do 3 roofs and you've done one and it still looks great, that makes you feel good.
It's one of the more, if not most, satisfying. Like, you're doing siding projects and you've seen that wall go up. Same with this, but it's so much more satisfying.
Yeah,
You're seeing
exactly.
piece by piece and how it looks, and then you're starting to see those on the hips where the pieces line up together, and you're
Right.
seeing the hip go on. Yeah, it's beautiful.
And you're right. And if it's steep,
Yeah.
I mean, you're like what you actually are exposed to when you drive up is almost 70% roof at
Yeah.
that point.
Yeah.
So you're seeing that roof first, right? And the first thing you see is a black slate or a rock ridge or an aged cedar shake,
Yeah.
and you're going, that looks great. I mean, you're losing all the imperfections underneath it,
Yeah.
right? You're not even looking at that. You're looking at it as a totality
Mhm.
and going, we did the right thing here.
Yeah.
You know, this is what we needed to do. It was hard. It was a hard
Mhm.
decision, but for the most important investment in our house and the most important piece of that investment, we made the right decision.
Yeah. And oftentimes that is could be part of an insurance claim too, where you're kind of either upgrading from an asphalt shingle, or maybe you have a cedar shake roof that's just getting to its end of life and you're getting tired of maintenance. I feel like this is one of the best options. And I mean, we've gotten, either comments or just customers that are just so sold on that cedar shake roof, and they like, if everything is installed perfectly, yes, it can last a very long time.
Right.
But based on our experience, based on firsthand what we see in the field and what we see with the condition of the cedar shake roofs, this just doesn't seem to be the case as far as lasting for 50 plus years.
It
Cedar
really
shakes.
doesn't. And if you were to look at data and
Yeah.
really dig down, we're talking less than 5% of these cedar shake are really
Yeah.
lasting. I mean, when we call out places, they've been doing the right thing for a long period of time. Not a lot of people have the time, have the money to do that.
I mean, we can count the number of the roofing companies that have been doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, talking about craftsmanship, on Cedar Shake Bureau, they have the magazine and they were showing the really craftsmanship stuff when they steam it and they have the forms
Oh,
and
yeah,
everything.
right.
Where it takes months to install.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff,
Yeah.
that's a different ballgame.
The stuff that
Now
you
we're talking-
ordered that was available,
Yeah.
nope.
Not the same. Yeah. No,
Not the
the leftovers
This
from
is
Menards
the-
in the back
This
of the
is
lot.
made
Yeah.
to order stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point, because
Yeah.
I'm obviously they've increased technology even on that side to push it out, but that's very few projects that can afford it. Really,
Yeah.
it's already expensive. To add that process.
That's a cost plus thing, and then you're
I mean,
spending
that's
months on the
yeah,
job.
yeah,
Your whole production schedule is just one project for
yeah,
this whole
exactly.
summer. I'm just here. That's it.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, thanks for doing this. Thank you for just sharing your insight and expertise on this. If people need to get some info, do you consult with clients and the contractors kind of on the spot? Do you do any kind of
Yeah.
presentation, anything?
If you ever need support, if you ever have questions or anything, any reason to reach out. We do both residential and commercial. We do a lot of churches, those types of things, and we've done some huge projects like Shields and stadiums and
Yep.
Disney World. So just know that when it comes to DaVinci, we have we can really do it, anything that you're looking for. But best way is to contact you guys or reach out to me directly at B Reberg at DaVinci Roofscapes.com. We'll put a little link there that they can click on, or 763-670-1612.
Beautiful. Thanks so much again for doing this. And if we get more interest, we'd be happy to bring you along, and then just do some meetings with townhome associations and so on, and then just residential projects. It's great to get it from somebody that's sold on the product themselves and that knows it so well. Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thanks for the opportunity, Artem.
Of course.